Hey everyone, welcome back to BioNexus Health podcast series Autism Uprooted. Today we will be discussing questions that have been sent to me from parents of children newly diagnosed with autism.
Sure. One of the first questions is regarding all these medical conditions that are hidden behind an autism diagnosis.
A bone marrow transplant is a FDA approved procedure. And, the medical authorities in many different countries approve the procedure for that specific condition.
Second question is related to all these miraculous cures that are advertised these days towards these poor parents who are so desperate to find a solution to help their children.
Welcome to the BioNexus Health podcast with Dr. Jodie Dashore, who holds a PhD in integrative medicine, is board certified in integrative pediatrics, an internationally recognized pioneering clinician, and author. And now here's your host of BioNexus Health podcast, Dr. Jodie Dashore.
And once again, we have the wonderful Andrea. She has volunteered to come to today's podcast with questions from various parents that she has taken the time to gather so that we can be most informative and most helpful to overwhelmed parents. We know what it is when your child gets diagnosed on the spectrum. Hey Andrea, welcome back to the podcast. How are you today?
Hi, Dr. Dashore. I am super excited because I know that today's podcast will change lives, and I'm absolutely honored to be here with you today and to contribute to that.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So yes, you have gathered a few questions from different parents in Europe. So
Yes.
go ahead. Hey, those watching, just wanted to let you know that Andrea is very helpful to many parents in many countries in Europe that reach out to her for guidance. Because for those of you who have followed, Andrea Remco and author's journey to recovery, know that it's been quite the experience for her, and Andrea and her family have learned a lot, and now they wish to pay it forward and contribute, which is just magnificent. So
Of course, it's our pleasure. The least we could do.
yes, of course. Go right ahead. I'm happy to answer
So,
any questions.
one of the first questions is regarding all these medical conditions that are hidden behind an autism diagnosis. Most of our children, either they are diagnosed very early in life, or us as parents, we already noticed, it was also my case, that they are different from a very early stage. And when the diagnosis comes, even if some of us maybe, they are already aware that something is different, it always comes with a lot of grief, even desperation, if I may say so. And basically, it really sounds a bit like a life sentence. What I would like you to do is maybe develop a little bit about all these medical conditions that could give the symptoms of autism, to give some hope to parents that if we manage to sort out those conditions and to treat them, many of the autistic symptoms of our kids can actually improve. And although they may stay neurodivergent for the rest of their lives, many of them could actually thrive and live a proper and fulfilling life. So, with your over 20 years of experience, could you please point out to us some of these medical conditions that are hidden behind this dreadful diagnosis?
That is a very good question to start this discussion with. Absolutely. One of the most important things that I discovered on my personal journey with my son was that autism research for many, many years, right from the start, has given us information that there are, 100+ genes that are involved, and there are multiple bodily systems that are affected: mitochondria, immune system, of course, the brain, the gut. Now, it got me thinking that there are many children, in spite of being treated with the usual, biomedical protocols, with like vitamins, etc., they don't really make significant progress. Or, if they make some gains, they regress again. What is going on here? Further research and further information that was gathered by myself back in the day, many years ago, was that that in those days, I would say this was back in 2009, when I slowly started to understand that there are diagnoses, there are conditions known as I'll start one by one. So it used to be known as PANDAS, and now it's known as PANS. It's a pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with strep as in streptococcus infection.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays it's known as pediatric autoimmune neurological neuropsychiatric syndromes. Okay, what happens is that there are numerous infections that trigger the immune system to become autoimmune and overactive, and that autoimmune immune system sends antibodies to attack the child's brain. So your own immune system is going through friendly fire by mistake and sending antibodies to a specific area in the brain known as the basal ganglia, and it is causing damage and inflammation. Now, the goal was to find out what are the various triggers, what are the various infections, toxins that can cause that immune system in children to go rogue like that, to go autoimmune. Some of the most important infections we found were tick-borne or insect-borne infections. There are many insect bites, mosquito bites, spiders, fleas from animals. Then there could be beach flies, horse flies, tick bites, of course, spider bites, I think I mentioned. So head lice as well. Now, these can pass infections, scratches from cats and kittens when they draw blood. So there are infections like Lyme disease, Bartonella, Babesia, and several others, which can be major triggers for brain inflammation and damage. Okay, now lastly, it is important to look at environmental toxins. So environmental toxins could be mold, could be volatile organic compounds, VOCs. Now, what is VOC? Many people, when they go into a new construction, for example, go to a hotel that is just built, or you just buy a new construction house. If there is carpeting, the paint, the lacquer on the wood cabinets, so there are many sources of these toxic smells and toxic compounds, these toxic chemical smells. And more commonly, it would be even some of the cleaning products that are used. You can have laundry detergents, you can have these fabric softeners that are used that have very strong fragrances. So all of these can cause what is known as, broadly speaking, biotoxin illness, because they're all biological toxins, not just the mold.
Yeah.
These biological toxins, in turn, affect multiple organ systems, including the gut and the brain. So with autism, we already know that mitochondria, the gut, the immune system, the brain possibly the liver, the other detox organs in the body might not be detoxifying correctly. So when you look at the interaction of so many organ systems that are affected, it becomes important to look at what else could be affecting these systems. You can't just sit back and say, oh my gosh, I have, like you said.
Second question is related to all these miraculous cures that are advertised these days towards these poor parents who are so desperate to find a solution to help their children that sometimes I've heard cases in which they would sell a house to go for stem cells. And I don't know, there are some other ones. I don't know how many sessions of hyperbaric, fecal transplant, and all sorts of other miraculous cures. Can you please what I would like is just to help them understand better, and if they choose to go for these treatments, is to actually do it knowing full well which could be the benefits, but also which could be the secondary effects. So could you please help us transmit to them the knowledge to make a good choice when it comes to this?
Yes, I'm happy to. There are so many options out there. It's important to understand as well that unfortunately, it's a tragedy, but nowadays autism has become a big business.
Yes.
An extremely profitable business, and some things can be quite nefarious out there when it comes to the mighty dollar, isn't it? So it is important for us as parents to make sure that our very hard-earned resources, that we are not becoming victims of someone telling you that there is a magic pill, because there simply isn't. You just look at the research. Honestly, autism parents are the smartest on the planet, because they take a deep dive, they research, they don't want a life sentence for their child, they research. But not everyone is in the medical field. It is difficult to move through a lot of research, a lot of evidence, and then there is heavy duty pseudoscience marketing that goes behind these magic cures. I mean, I was a victim myself as well, because I totally understand, right? Yes. So
was I.
Yes, several times, not just once, because you do become desperate, at some point, to give your child some relief. Like, okay, maybe this will do it. All right, maybe, so honestly, this patchwork approach, I have to give you an example. One of the most ridiculous magic cures that I heard that was actually quite harmful was, someone mentioned to me that, I gave my son camel milk that I smuggled into the country, into the US, and I just gave my son one bowl of cereal, right? And this is like usual junky, sugar-laden cereal that is sold in the US, conventional, right? Not even gluten-free. So I gave my son this bowl of cereal with camel milk at night, and next day morning, I heard words like, really? And it was just ludicrous for someone to be spreading such rumors, and of course, after that, I've done a lot of research into the immune modulation effects of camel milk. I think the podcast from last Sunday,
yes,
my lecture on that, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Look at the science, people. I mean, there is a science behind autism. there needs to be a scientific approach for treatment. Now, let's go on to the other one you mentioned, hyperbaric oxygen. Wonderful treatment, right? However, is it a cure? No. Is it a Band-Aid? Yes. Can it be beneficial at some point? Yes. In a properly customized treatment protocol, at some point, when progress is stalled or there is a plateau, that's when hyperbaric. It's very important. Again, there is research. You can research, you can look it up, that if there are underlying aerobic infections like Babesia, for example, right?
Yeah.
What does oxygen do to oxygen breathing bacteria? What will happen? If your child has infections with bacteria that thrive, that are aerobic, that thrive on oxygen, what are you doing? You're making them grow. Babesia, for example, right, attacks the bone marrow. It goes after red blood cells. It goes after the spleen, right? So your red blood cells that carry nutrition to vital organs in your body, like the brain, the liver, it's the blood. It goes everywhere in your body. Babesia infect the red blood cells and cause destruction, therefore affecting the bone marrow and spleen, etc. Right? Now, it is contraindicated when you have such infections to go for hyperbaric, because I just explained it, right? When you think about it, you understand. Now, after you have run the labs, after you have eliminated the infections and detoxed the toxins, what is the next step? Again, there's no magic. So you have had infections. Say, you start this with a child that is 3 years old, for example.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you don't know how long these infections and toxins have been in the body of the child. Some are born with it, right? If you have these in your body as a mother, it can be transmitted. If dad has them, dad can transmit to mom, and mom transmits to the child. Again, there's a lot of research articles on this. So 3 years, these have been in the body of your child. If your pregnancy is in an environment with environmental toxins, it will pass on to the fetus during pregnancy. Again, there's research that I have done with multiple countries around the world, and this has been proven. Environmental toxins are a very high risk for autism spectrum disorders, right? Exposure during pregnancy, that is. Now, you say, for example, we investigated, we eliminated, we detoxed. What is the next step? You have to repair the damage. They don't exist in the body just, waiting for you to eliminate them. No, these toxins cause damage in the body. And once they are eliminated, the infections cause damage. Once they are eliminated, you have to repair. You have to give time to repair the systems. And you've experienced this. The best part about repair is when your child starts to improve.
Yes.
Then, right? And then all of these extra Band-Aids don't seem very attractive. You're like, okay, my child is making such wonderful progress. That little body is capable of repairing itself once given the right tools. A bone marrow transplant is an FDA-approved procedure. And, the medical authorities in many different countries approve the procedure for that specific condition, that yes, it works. Now, right, if you're being told that your child may experience a lifetime of epilepsy, if you're being told to sign off that, and this is common knowledge in Facebook groups, that for the next 3 to 4 months, your child is going to be off the walls, cannot sleep, cannot eat, completely hyperactive, and then you'll see the gains. And by the time it's going to be 6 months, then you have to go back again. Finish with that. So do parents know that everyone at every age can enhance their own stem cell production? Okay, Dr. William Lee, he's an MD, he's world-renowned. He talks about food and nutrition that can enhance, enhance and allow the body to release your own bone marrow, to release more stem cells to help your body heal itself, right? To help your body repair when given the right tools and conditions, which is what I've always spoken. Eliminate infections, detoxify environmental toxins, repair the damage, and then go in. You can use herbals, of course, and you can use, regular diet that can help. You can use lifestyle modification. Again, there is research on this, that stem cells can be enhanced in your own body. And if and it is mostly become fashionable to go into this for older people who are looking for longevity. But can you even imagine our children with a new body, a brand new body, a brand new bone marrow? Of course, once you clear out the underlying conditions, you can naturally enhance the cells. I have seen children, many have reported, including our friend Alexandra, right? Many mothers and fathers have reported that eventually Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, PANDAS in children diagnosed, when you have a flare-up, it's gone in 2 days. Eventually. Why? Because the underlying problems are treated. They're like Dr. Dashore. The whole family got crazy COVID, and your patient, meaning their child, 1 day of little bit of symptoms, and then he's fine. He's exposed to everyone. It is not possible for us. We are all sick. So that is the body maintaining and healing itself. That is the beauty when you bring about homeostasis and regulation in your child's body. And you know what that is? Instead of a life sentence, that is a lifetime gift to your child. You won't be around forever. And your child will have this beautiful immune system for the rest of their lives. Whatever foundation you give your child before puberty, that's when puberty, the massive benefit to the immune system, the hormones come out, like they should, because obviously most toxins are endocrine disruptors. Hormones get affected. All of these band-aids out there, cells and FMT and HGOT and all, they don't give you hormonal regulation. No, they don't. That is why they're band-aids. When you clear out the toxins, when you clear out the infections, then your hormones are regulated for your child as well. And the puberty is beautiful. Now, keep in mind, puberty is a nightmare for even neurotypical kids.
Yes.
Now, if your child is beginning to speak, has major attitude, has hormonal fluctuations during puberty, right? It is great because that is normal. He's being rude, he's being moody, locked up in the room. That is absolutely normal. That's the puberty you want for your child. We did FMT for a while, and this was somebody else's DNA. Thankfully, we did not wipe out the microbiome. Thankfully. Nowadays, apparently, vancomycin is given. to completely wipe out the normal microbiome in the child, and then the donor is injected, is there going to be a relative risk reduction? Relative risk reduction is very different statistically from absolute risk reduction. A relative risk reduction means it belongs in that study group, right? Now, when you're researching, not everyone is a statistician. You know, I have taught medical research statistics at the doctorate level to PhDs and MDs for many years in the past. And one of the things, you know, I mean, it is so difficult to teach. I remember when I was doing my doctorate in OT, I had to teach the entire class pretty much, you know, going through their doctorate, how to analyze research studies, you know, what are the research parameters? Is it a robust study? What is relative risk reduction? What is absolute risk reduction? It is very different from scientists presenting to you that the control group and the experimental group, this is the research we saw. You know why? Because it was a controlled environment. Sure, it was randomized control. Sure, it gives us scientific information, but you have to understand the absolute risk reduction is very different, meaning for your personal child, what will be the risk reduction? So if you have a child that was a vaginal delivery, normal delivery, all of your good microbiome, the child already has. If the child on top of that was breastfed, however, a couple months, whatever you breast, couple weeks, it was breastfeeding, then you get additional beautiful benefits with the microbiome. Why would you want to eradicate that? So there is so much, you know, it's as, I mean, I have a lot of passion when I help children. It's just, it is so important as a parent to analyze the options before rushing in head first. It is going to take you a few years to get your child better, but what is a few years when it comes to the rest of your life? Rest of the
life. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for joining Master Herbalist Dr. Jodi A. Dashore, Director of the BioNexus Health Clinic and BioNexus Herbals, on the BioNexus Health podcast, where we explore and share information and stories about recovering and healing from chronic and environmental illnesses such as mold biotoxin illness, Lyme disease, autism spectrum disorder, fatigue, Crohn's and colitis, mast cell activation syndrome, PANS, and more. Please help us grow our message by subscribing to our podcast channel and sharing the podcast on your social networks.